Hey everyone. So today I want to talk a bit about trust because trust is an issue that comes up time and time again in coaching conversations. And it's certainly something that I had a lot of challenges with when I had my eating disorder. So I wanted to just spend a little bit of time today digging into that and exploring whether we can see something a bit differently around that. So when I had anorexia, I definitely had some trust issues. I I didn't really trust anyone around me. I didn't trust my parents, my family. I didn't really trust the doctors or those who were supporting me a lot of the time. It very much felt like it was me against them. And I didn't see at the time that actually it wasn't me against them, it was all of us against the eating disorder. But because at that time I identified as the eating disorder, it felt like it was me, then me kind of getting tangled up in that, it made it look like it was me against everyone else or everyone else against me. And so I didn't see a lot of the time that actually all of those people really did have my best interests at heart, and that actually it was the eating disorder who didn't. And yet it felt like that was me, and that was the thing to trust, that I could only ever trust the eating disorder because in my eyes it was keeping me safe, which for some people you may be able to relate to that, but others that may seem crazy, that we think that the eating disorder is actually keeping us safe. But actually I think what it's doing is it's keeping us within familiar kind of boundaries, like we're kept in this cage and that becomes familiar, and so we think that that's comfortable because it means that we don't have to kind of think about what we actually have to do. And it's almost like I didn't have to, I was on autopilot because I could just listen to whatever the eating disorder was telling me, and I didn't have to make those decisions myself. And so that's, I think, where this idea of a comfort zone comes in, because actually it wasn't comfortable at all, but it just meant that I kind of felt like the path of least resistance, that I could almost relax into these rules that I knew well. I was familiar with them. I knew how to play that game. I knew what I could and couldn't do, and so I stuck to that because again, that was familiar. And I and so as well as not trusting other people and having almost complete trust in the eating disorder, that the eating disorder had my best interests at heart, which it really didn't. I also didn't trust myself. And when I say myself, I mean the true self, not the eating disorder, but the kind of the deep down me, my gut feeling. I lost trust in that, and I really got out of the habit of actually believing in that deep down gut feeling that we all have, and that feeling never goes away, and that knowing, that deep down knowing of what to do, what the answer is, what feels right, that never goes away. But I think what certainly happened with me was that I got into the routine of overriding it and almost teaching myself. I think that was the eating disorder voice doing that. That it was training me to not trust it, because the eating disorder didn't like that. The eating disorder only ever wanted me to trust what it was saying, because if I did, then that means that I would follow its rules. And so I stopped trusting my own gut feeling, and I think a lot of people do. And also when I was kind of reliant on other people, whether that was with an eating plan, a meal plan, or I was looking to other people to tell me when not to eat. So everything was controlled for me. So it was like all that responsibility was taken away. And so it's like I didn't actually have to trust that gut feeling, because it was like I wasn't having to actually make any decisions for myself. But actually when I have conversations with people, there seems to be a block that is kind of standing in the way of really committing to wanting to recover and really believing that that's possible. And I think some of that is fear. It's fear of the unknown, fear of being without the eating disorder and what life will be like then. But I think it's also a lack of trust. And again, as I said at the start, it's a word that comes up a lot, that we have got out of the habit of trusting that we will know what to do when the eating disorder isn't there barking orders at us. We will know what to do. And I did know what to do. And it's trusting that our bodies will tell us when to eat. That, again, we don't need the eating disorder to control that. And that we will regain that trust in our own deep down gut feeling, our deep down knowing that we will be able to make our own decisions. And I think and certainly for me, that was really hard to grasp, because I hadn't done it in so long. I didn't know what was beneath the eating disorder. I didn't know what there was to trust. I didn't trust that there was anything left of me, or that there was any kind of inner, we talk about the inner GPS system that is always guiding us. And I just did not believe or trust that that was there, and that I would be capable of kind of going it alone. But I mean, when I say alone, I mean without the eating disorder, and kind of reverting back to that version of myself that I was before the eating disorder came along. And so what I found really helpful is, because I totally get that can feel quite overwhelming and quite daunting to actually start trusting yourself again, because it is a bit like stepping into the unknown. But in order to do so, we do need that trust. But I think it's starting to listen to what that deep down gut feeling is saying to you. And it might not even have words attached to it, it might just be a feeling. And that's certainly what I did. And getting back into the habit of tuning into that. And I think it's, if you're not quite sure what I mean by that gut feeling, it's like the eating disorder voice lives up here, and it has lots of words attached to it, and it's constantly churning over, it's constantly there yapping in your ear. Whereas that gut feeling is much more kind of down here in your stomach, or here in your chest, that it's more of that feeling, that knowing feeling. And I know that you will have felt that before. You might not necessarily remember, but it's that deep down knowing that we have the answers, and that's where all the answers lie. And they might not always feel nice or comfortable, but they feel right and true. And so for me, this whole idea of trust is just starting to become familiar or re-familiarising ourselves with that deep down feeling, and I guess being open to the possibility that you can start to trust that again. And it might be kind of starting with baby steps, and that's totally okay. But just having at the back of your mind that you have all of the tools within you to guide you through life, and you don't need the eating disorder voice to do that for you. We're put on this planet with everything that we need. So I'd love you just to consider that, and feel free to leave any thoughts or comments, or feel free to get in touch. And don't forget to check out our other videos, and don't forget to subscribe.